Hey everyone, Liam from Solitude here, and today I'm going to be going over a news story which popped up a couple of days ago that I thought would be interesting to have a chat about. So anyway, what it was that Triple J promoted a new tour by the British band, the 1975's, saying that they were coming to Australia to play shows. Now, when I saw this pop up on their social media, I instantly thought, wow, that's interesting because, to my knowledge, Triple J don't really play the 1975 that much at all. So anyway, I thought I'd have a look on this Last FM page, which someone has kindly put together that collates all of the plays, all of the songs that get played by artists over periods of time. So anyway, what we can see is that the 1975 have never been played since 2020 more than 26 times, which is not very many times comparing to other artists out there. For example, Spacey Jane would be getting hundreds of plays. And then if we look at their most played songs, their song If You're Too Shy, Let Me Know has been played 15 times in total. And a recent one they brought out, Happiness, Dance Floor Edit, has been played 14 times. One other small connection that the 1975 have to the station is that Wave Racer came on and did a version and covered their song called It's Not Living If It's Not With You, which is probably, I would guess, their biggest song, the 1975's biggest song. So the station was obviously okay with that song being played because they do have to tick off the songs that are chosen. I've heard before that they have denied songs being covered. For example, Camp Cope wanted to cover a song by Royal Headache. That was denied, apparently. Someone also wanted to cover a Sticky Fingers song once before, and that was also denied. So they were okay with the 1975 being covered on their station. So it's a bit of a strange relationship there because they obviously don't mind them, but they don't play them a whole lot, even though they are arguably one of the biggest indie pop bands in the world, currently getting about 13 million monthly listeners on Spotify. So anyway, I went on with the rest of my day and I later saw some news headlines popping up showing that the lead singer of the 1975, Matt Healy, was not very pleased with Triple J when they started promoting his band and their Australian tour. So if we look at this Instagram post that he put out, he said, "Play our music then before you start licking our ass, just because you finally realized we're mint." Pretty strong words. So they've been around for the best part of 10 years now and have not been played a whole lot by the station. So yeah, it's kind of odd timing for them to be now all of a sudden promoting them. And then on Twitter, Triple J say, "Keep April free. The 1975 are performing in Oz for the first time since Laneway 2020. Link in bio to learn more." And then Matt says, "Yeah, play our effing music then, you Muppets." And again, on another Twitter page that I guess he has, I suppose he must have two, he just said, "You literally have nothing to do with us coming to Australia. Don't start getting involved now. You don't have a monopoly on cool, and the head of your company is a knobhead, so yous can F off." Pretty strong words from Matt Healy. Now, something that I thought was interesting about this was that this would have to be the highest profile call out of Triple J probably ever. Like I said before, 13 million monthly listeners, one of the biggest indie rock bands in the world, let alone the UK. And yeah, he is not happy with Triple J. Probably the next biggest call-outs of people who have voiced negative opinions towards the stations would probably be Australian Eshe rapper Cursor, and then maybe Justin Burford, who I made a video about from End of Fashion, who called out some negative perspectives of how his band was treated on the station also. So how do I feel about the 1975 in general and their music not being played on the station and Matt Healy's response? Well, let me start off by saying I actually think that the 1975's music is pretty decent. I'm not really a huge indie pop sort of fan, but if their music ever comes on playlists or on shuffle or whatever, I tend to let it play through and listen. I actually really like one of their songs from their first album, which is called Chocolate, and I think it's one of the best kind of like indie rock sort of riffs, indie pop rock sort of riffs out there on the guitar. It's just super catchy, super jangly and poppy and really memorable. And yeah, I do think it's unfair that they don't get played on the station. I don't really understand why they don't. I can think of a lot of similar sounding artists that get played. One that comes to mind right now would be Cub Sport, I guess. But yeah, there's got to be way more out there too that I just can't think of off the top of my head right now. But it's odd to me they don't get played, and I could see why he'd be frustrated. I almost assume there's probably more there that we don't know about, PR and connections and trying to get played on the station that they've obviously been doing before. So maybe their management has tried to get them played on the station, and Triple J has just flat out said no previously because they just don't fit the sound, which is ridiculous. But it's something that Triple J have essentially been caught doing before. So I wouldn't be surprised. So where do we think this goes now, though? Well, it's either going one of two ways. One, Triple J could be taking this response quite offensively and not playing them anymore, which I don't think would really bother Matt Healy or the band at this point. Or two, they could be realizing that, hey, yeah, why don't we play them? Why don't we play them more? And like other artists, for example, Beyonce, Lizzo, Cardi B, they seemingly pick them up after they've already become after they've already been popular for years, and pop artists they tend to be coming around to the idea of wanting to play popular music a bit more now. So I don't know which direction that would go, but that's the two things that I potentially see happening here. So the last thing I want to finish up on, how do I just see this issue being resolved and not happening again? Well, in my opinion, I think this would be resolved if there was just simply an alternative to Triple J out there. So, obviously, Triple J play up-and-coming alternative and indie sort of music, and they're the only major station Australia-wide that do that. Now, there's some smaller community-run stations around different states that do that just don't have the reach that Triple J do, and there's other bigger Australia-wide stations that definitely do have a similar reach, which either play the top 40 hits, that's it, or mostly just classic conservative rock songs we've all heard a million times on the station, with smatterings of maybe 5 or so new songs throughout those playlists that are probably released from bands that have been around for a good 10 to 15 years already anyway. So if there was just an alternative to Triple J that played up-and-coming alternative indie rock or whatever sort of genre you want to get that niche in, that would be awesome. And they could probably find artists like the 1975 who don't get played on Triple J that much and use them as a starting point for their station to just say, hey, here's a band that's recognizable that don't get played on Triple J. It'll help set us apart. So I potentially see that as an option to resolve this, but hey, that's just my idea. I don't know, and I don't think it'll ever get done, but I would love to see it. Anyway, thanks for looking at this video and listening to me speak, and hey, I hope you liked it, and if you want to hear more about this sort of stuff, please subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.